Welcome to Hilary Topper On Air, the podcast you can't afford to miss.
For the boomers in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, there are many concerns from being a caregiver for their parents to planning for their own retirement. How do seniors access quality long-term care, and how can they afford it? How can the Medicaid program help? What planning should be done in advance of a crisis to avoid or minimize the loss of assets and, more importantly, the loss of dignity? Hi, I'm Hilary Topper, and this is Hilary Topper On Air. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Vincent J. Russo, who is the managing shareholder of Russo Law Group PC, Long Island's signature elder law, special needs, and estate planning law firm. Welcome back to the show, Vincent.
Yeah, great to be on, Hilary.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm and what you guys do.
Sure. So my firm I founded back in the 1980s, and we have a focus, as you've mentioned, we're a boutique law firm, and we have a focus on helping individuals and their families. So we're a people firm. We work with people day in and day out, and families have lots of issues. Life is very complicated, as you listed all those great questions that concern the caregivers, the boomers out there. And so our firm focuses in on helping families in regard to estate planning, making sure that the individuals have wills and advance directives in case they're ever in a car accident or unable to make healthcare or financial decisions. We focus in on elder law, which covers how do we make sure we have the best quality of life in our senior years, what planning do we need to put into place, and addressing in particular the high cost of care, and how do we make sure that that doesn't bankrupt us in our retirement years. And then we also represent families who have a loved one with special needs. That could be a parent with Alzheimer's, or it could be a child who's developmentally disabled, or an adult child with autism. And so we focus in helping those families. So often we're not only providing legal services, but we're a resource to those families. How to connect them to other professionals, advisors, agencies that can provide services that are so desperately needed by all of us, really, to be able to navigate the challenges in life as we're all living longer.
And that leads me to my next question. So talk to me about what baby boomers keep them up at night. How do you take care of a parent at home or afford the care for parents' needs?
Okay, so I think that's probably number one. And I'm in that situation as well as everybody else, which is I have a 93-year-old father and an 89-year-old mother. And what keeps me up at night is that they're living thankfully independently, but with lots of challenges. And I worry about their well-being. What happens if they slip and fall in the middle of the night? How do I make sure that they're getting the meals that they should have each day? How do we make sure that if a family has a parent who needs a care aide to come in every day, how do we make sure that they are showing up? How do we make sure that our parents have sufficient monies to be able to afford that care? And so I think these are the questions that many of us have, and we wake up in the middle of the night saying, I hope everything's okay. We always worry about getting that phone call that something unfortunately has happened. And so there are steps that can be taken to try to provide a foundation to ensure that we can avoid maybe some of these problems or minimize the problems, or if we end up in crisis, we have a plan on how we're going to handle it.
So let's turn away for a moment from the caregiver role to the role of your own future needs. How can you avoid losing your life savings in a nursing home?
A great question, and that's another one that might keep someone up at night. And so the boomers not only need to be concerned about their parents, but they also need to be concerned about themselves, and hopefully lessons are learned along the way from those other family experiences. So no one wants to be in a nursing home. I don't think you want to be in a nursing home. I don't want to be in a nursing home. And thankfully, most seniors are not in nursing homes. Well over 90% of the seniors today are living in communities, which is great news. But if you need that medical care, if you do end up in a nursing homes are costing on Long Island $125,000 to $175,000 a year.
Crazy.
So you take your average person and you say, okay, let me look at my liquid assets and let's divide by, let's say, 150,000. All right. So if I have $300,000 of liquid assets, after 2 years, I'm impoverished if I go in a nursing home. And if I have less than that, then I'm going to be impoverished even sooner. So we are all faced with this possibility, this potential that if we end up in a nursing home, most of us will be impoverished if we don't do something in advance or in a worst case scenario in crisis. So if I'm in my 60s and I'm thinking about retirement and I'm concerned about this high cost of care, I think the first thing that happens, and I'll share this with you, Hilary, the first thing that happens is we're all in denial. It's not going to happen to us. I'm not going to end up in the nursing home. Well, okay, I'll respond to that. Well, maybe you won't. You'll be fortunate, right? But you may need care at home.
Right.
And care at home, 24/7 care at home today can run over $75,000 a year. And if you're in an assisted living residence, that could be $75,000 to $120,000 a year. And the statistics are here now that if you're fortunate to get into your 80s, the chances are greater than 1 out of 3 that you're going to need care, long-term care. So maybe it's not a nursing home, but we still need to pay attention. And we need to really make sure that individuals who are listening in understand Medicare doesn't help. Health insurance doesn't cover long-term care, assistance with activities of daily living. And so the only insurance that's available would be a long-term care policy. Now, that could be a policy one could purchase and pay annually a premium as a standalone policy, or the insurance companies have recently come out with what are called life insurance policies that include a long-term care rider. So that's another product out there that could be considered by those in early retirement or going into retirement, where they may want to protect themselves by buying a policy. So that would be something to investigate up front. Is that the way I want to go to reduce or eliminate my risk here in terms of being totally impoverished? Now, if I may, I can share with you that, Hilary, most people don't have long-term care insurance. Less than 10% of the senior population have long-term care insurance. So they're rolling the dice. We're all rolling the dice out there. And that's really dangerous because, when you go to Vegas and you roll the dice, the house usually wins, right?
That's right.
All right. So on one hand, we're praying, God, please let me have longevity, let me have a long life. And then the reality is, if you get that blessing, you're likely going to need care at some point, and you got to have a plan on how you're going to pay for it. And you can't bank on your children being ready to give up their jobs and their life and move in with you and take care of you. Now, if that happens, God bless you, but it's not happening on a regular basis that way. And so Medicaid, unfortunately, I'm going to say, is the only government program that one could access to pay for that care. It's great. We're in New York because New York has the most robust Medicaid program, and we have a really very robust home care program. But you're not automatically eligible, because if you have assets, you're not going to be eligible unless we do some planning to protect those assets, allowing you to go on Medicaid if that's the only way to prevent being impoverished.
Unbelievable information. It's so helpful. I think so many people will benefit from this. But before we move on, I just have to say that I am so appreciative of my sponsors, and I have to take the time out to thank them. Please support our sponsors and tell them that you heard about them on Hilary Topper On Air. Special thanks to the Russo Law Group, MedPro, once again, Nut Butter, and Fortunoff Fine Jewelry. Now back to you, Vincent. Talk to me a little bit about this TV show that you have on Family Comes First on the Catholic Faith Network. What is it all about?
Yeah, that's. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with your listeners. Family Comes First. A number of years ago, over a decade ago, I came out of a meeting with clients, and I said, "Wow, what a powerful story! Clients who fought in World War II, women who became nurses and doctors, and were pioneers in leading the way for equality for women with wages and jobs availability." And so I walked out of the room one day and I said, how do I share these stories? How do we help people who are struggling in life for whatever reason, facing challenges, people who feel alone, they don't know what the resources are, how they can get help. And I'm every day hearing these unbelievable stories. We've seen over 17,000 families since I started my law firm.
Wow.
17,000 stories. And it's amazing what ordinary people do. Really incredible. So I went to, at the time, Telecare, and they've recently rebranded themselves as Catholic Faith Network. And I said to them, would you give me the privilege to have a TV show where I could share the stories? And they said, yes, we're open to that. And so we set out to share initially 3 or 4 stories a year, and we would have families come on and talk about their situation in life, and then we would bring resources on. So we did a show on caregiving, where Peter Belmonte shared a story about his father who ultimately needed nursing home care, and him being the caregiver to his father and his mother, and the challenges he was facing. And we did a show with a family that a loved one, a husband, had Alzheimer's, and then we brought on resources. And so we were sharing these stories, and for me, it was really an opportunity to help people that I probably will never meet. That, this is my kind of attempt at making a difference out there in the community. And we're now in our 11th season.
Wow.
And we've received 3 Telly Awards, which are awards for cable TV.
Awesome. Awesome.
And this year, we really focused in, and I give a lot of credit to my wife, Susan, who co-produces and helps us with content, and my co-host, Victoria. And we focused on topics that affect people today in real life. So we did a two-part show on cancer. And so my wife in part one shared her story of breast cancer. And we had a doctor on. And early detection is so critical. And then we did a part two, and I had prostate cancer in 2017. And I shared my journey. And we had a doctor on to help talk about the choices that men face when they have a diagnosis of prostate cancer. We shared a show with parents who, God bless them, came on and talked about their son who committed suicide. And it's so troubling, the number of suicides that are occurring in our country. Good kids just getting lost. And they shared their story and their thoughts on how to do your best as a parent to get through that experience, and also ideas on what you can do to try to help someone who's really depressed and troubled in life. We did a two-part show on Parkland and the horrible, horrible gun violence that occurred down in Florida. And we had parents on the show from Parkland, one who lost a son and the other whose son survived, hiding under a desk. And so we wanted to talk about, how do we make our schools safe? How do we get that worry out of our heads as parents and take care of these kids? And what changes do we need to have in society? Because this is just unacceptable. Look what just happened in New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And look how quickly the government moved to try to help the situation. And we have a lot of challenges there. So our shows, we did a show on food pantries on Long Island. And the numbers of people who don't have meals on a daily basis. And these food pantries all over Long Island, even on college campuses, Hilary.
Something. I mean, I think that first of all, I've seen the show. I thought it was fantastic. You and your co-host do an amazing job. It's definitely worth checking out. Go to either the Catholic Faith Network, or you can see the shows on YouTube. And now let me ask you something before we're going to be wrapping this up in a minute. You have the Teresa Foundation that you started, and you're having a big 25th anniversary gala. Can you talk a little bit about that and how people can get involved?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Our Teresa Foundation helps children with special needs. And our focus is supporting programs for music, dance, art, and recreation, things that get cut first in the schools. And the foundation was established in memory of my daughter, Teresa. Often people will come to me and ask me about the foundation and think it's in memory of my mother. And it's really was established after my daughter passed away. She was born severely disabled. But we got 5.5 wonderful years of life with her. And so we formed a foundation because we wanted to help other Teresas. And remarkably, we're now celebrating our 25th annual Teresa Awards dinner, May 3rd at the Bridgeview Yacht Club in Island Park. And we celebrate the awards dinner right around Teresa's birthday, which was May 5th. And this year we're presenting an award to an attorney who's done amazing work helping seniors and people with disabilities from Oregon. His name is Tim Ney. And we're honoring the past 25 years of honorees. We've helped and I was really taken back by this, we've helped over 166 organizations
Wow.
through the years. We've donated well over $1.5 million supporting those programs. And we're going to, continue to do this. And the support really comes from those who make donations on our Teresa Foundation website, those who support our dinner May 3rd, our golf outing this year, which will be June 27th. And so we're really been blessed by the outpouring of love and support we've received. So this is a very special year, the 25th year.
Wow. Congratulations to you, and kudos for all the work that you and your wife and the entire team put on. We all appreciate it. So tell us, Vincent, how can people get in touch with you or the Russo Law Group?
Very easy to get in touch with us. You can call 516-683-1717, 516-683-1717, or you can contact us through our website, which is vjrussolaw.com. So V for Vincent, J for James, russolaw.com.
Thank you so much, Vincent, for being on the show. I also want to thank our sponsors, and Vincent's firm is one of our sponsors, and we greatly appreciate it. It's the Russo Law Group. We also appreciate MedPro, once again, Nut Butter, and Fortune Fine Jewelry. And last but not least, we appreciate you, our listeners, for tuning in every week. If you need more information about this show or any other show, visit our website, hilarytopperonair.com, or you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, you name it, SoundCloud. We're out there. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.